what are some of the hot button issues, things that really trigger FDA? So throughout my time in FDA, I think there's issues that really tend to antagonize or excite FDA in particular ways, and I think you want to be aware of those and potentially avoid those situations. First of all is companies hiding information regarding problems. That's really a big trigger with FDA. So you have reviewers who are spending time and effort reviewing applications and supplements, and they take this very seriously. They're very diligent, spend lots of time, and lo and behold, there's sometimes when after the review is completed, they find out and approval is granted. They find out there's issues. So that's really something that I think is upsetting to FDA when that happens. So I would be very mindful of that. At the same time, during inspections, you have an investigator who spends a week or more at a facility. They're asking hundreds, if not thousands, of questions related to quality-related issues, investigations, deviations, CAPAs, change controls, and so forth. And then you close out the inspection, have potentially 43 items, and a period of time later, it turns out there's a really critical issue at that company that has a severe impact on quality or production, and it was not known during the course of the inspection. So I think what investigators, what I've noticed them do now, is they'll ask questions. Is there any, and I've seen this recently as a few weeks ago, an investigator will ask very broad question: are there any critical issues that exist at this facility? And of course, the folks who are managing the inspection will come to me and they'll say, what does this mean? We don't understand what it means. Well, what it is they don't want to leave the inspection and then only to find out there's some really critical issue that somehow was not covered during the course of the inspection. So that's again that's a real trigger for FDA, and I think it's important to have some level of transparency there. And related to that is revealing part of the story. So you have a critical issue. You explain the situation to FDA, but you try to limit it, to say it's only, bracketed by this period of time for this number of lots, and FDA starts asking questions, pulls the string a little, and then the problem expands, and there's a greater extent of problems, and then they ask some more questions, and the amount of the scope of the problem tends to increase. So I think that's something that really triggers FDA. And then there's the acceptance of poor quality or defending the indefensible. So you have an inspection that's ongoing, and somebody who's really aggressive and is trying really hard to avoid the 43 item. So they're really pushing back. They're really trying to defend the situation and not get a 43 item. But what happens is FDA the investigator starts to think, there's not a good quality mindset at this company, because if there's a clear problem that exists and the company is not acknowledging it, I think it really triggers FDA. So be mindful of that during the course of inspections, because the way that you present to FDA is important, and if there's a really critical issue, I think at some point, when they find a lot of the relevant information, I think it's important to acknowledge it and move on.